Have you guys ever felt like a Stratocaster is just a little too mainstream? You like Telecasters, but they don't quite say exactly what you're trying to say. You know? And don't even get me started on Les Pauls and SGs. 70s rock? Yeah. Well, thankfully, we've got two guitars to the rescue. Let's check them out. Oh, stupid hipster skinny jeans. Oh, turn it off, turn it off. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day today. Yes, you do not have to be a stuck-up hipster to enjoy these two guitars. Today we're looking at the Jazzmaster and the Gretsch 6118, two of my favorite guitars when I need some tones that are just a little bit outside the norm. So out of all the guitars out there that kind of bring something different to the table, why did I pick the Gretsch and the Jazzmaster? Well, number one, both guitars have an incredible history. I mean, Gretsch as a company going back to the 1800s, and the Jazzmaster kind of coming on the scene in the late 50s. So both guitars have an incredible history, which is really cool. Secondly, tonally, they bring something very different to the table than, some of these other mainstream guitars that we talked about. So great history, great tone, and of course, really unique looks. So obviously each guitar brings some incredible history and some sweet vibe to the table. So what we're gonna do today is just do a quick rundown of the guitars so you guys know what each one is, and then of course do a tonal comparison so you can see how each guitar compares to the other. All right, so let's kick things off with the Gretsch. I'm just gonna hit up some highlights. If you want all the specs on these guitars, like usual, it's in the video description below. So this is the 6118 anniversary model. The paint job is two-tone smoke green, very retro and very cool. As you guys can see, it is an archtop hollow body guitar. Incredible vibe. So the body itself is made out of laminated maple on the top, sides, and back. The neck is maple as well, and this model I think comes in either ebony or rosewood, so kind of player's choice, whichever one you prefer on your guitar. Now onto the Jazzmaster. This guitar was released in 1958, designed specifically for the jazz player. Well, it was wildly unpopular. Jazz players didn't want a solid body guitar, and of course the offset shape was just a little bit too weird, so I don't think any jazz players bought this to play jazz, but thankfully in the mid-60s it got picked up by a lot of surf players. It had a bright, jangly tone that they loved, and so the guitar lived on. Now in terms of construction, it's classic Fender. We've got an alder body, we've got a maple neck, and we've got a rosewood fingerboard. The same combination that Fender has been using on tens of thousands of guitars. Now over the last few years, Fender has also updated their Jazzmaster line, and I really love what they did because on the American Professional, the American Performer, and the Player series, they're kind of simplified controls. So if you don't want, the extra volume and tone and selector here for your neck pickup, you don't have to have it if you don't think you're going to use that feature. If you do think you're going to use it, they have the American Original, they've got the Classic Vibe, and the Ventura, the Mexican-made series. So in each tier, they have, sort of an updated version or a traditional version, which is awesome. It gives the player the choice whether they think they'll use those features or not. So let's get on and hear some tones. So our American Jazzmaster here has the pure vintage 65 pickups, and this is a Japanese Gretsch with the classic Gretsch Filtertron pickups. Let's plug them in and take them for a spin. So here are my final thoughts on these two guitars. Let's start by addressing the tone. Well, number one, nothing chimes like a Jazzmaster. So bright, so present, so cutting, and still has all the attack of a single coil pickup because the Jazzmaster pickups are single coils. And they do differ in P90s. I did a shootout a while ago between Jazzmaster pickups and P90s, so if you are curious, if I can find it, I'll link to it above. If not, just search for like Jazzmaster versus P90. I talk about like the differences in construction, all that kind of stuff. So, long story short, the Jazzmaster pickups are true single coil pickups wound in a special way just to give like maximum chime, maximum brightness. Now as for the Gretsch, man, that Jazzmaster made this thing sound like a warm guitar, and the Filtertron pickups have a great reputation for, rockabilly and country kind of vibes, lots of twang, but compared to that Jazzmaster, yeah, it was crazy. Made this thing sound super warm. But the Filtertron pickups do have their own thing going on. They don't sound like a straight up humbucker. A little bit more attack for sure, and just kind of more of like a boxy kind of mid-range tone. So depending on what you need in your collection, the Jazzmaster or the Gretsch both offer some really unique tones. Now as for the overall construction, I'm happy to say there's no obvious areas of flaws or construction errors on these guitars. This one's made in the USA, the Gretsch is made in Japan, both really high quality instruments. The American made necks are really nice because they roll those fingerboard edges, which feels really nice if you mute or play notes with your thumb or just sliding up and down the neck. Really nice. I'll take a shot of the fretwork here. I did two shots, one kind of in the middle of the neck and then one way up high. And the fretwork's nice. It's not blowing me away, but it's certainly nothing to complain about. As I use the guitar, it all is very, very nice. Other than that, yeah, there's no really areas of concern. It's just a really well-built instrument. Now as for the Gretsch, again, made really well. The Japanese workmanship is very excellent. Again, I'll take a shot of the fretwork from down low and then all the way up high. And again, very nice fretwork, nothing to complain about there. And the rest of the fit and finish, very great. It's got a nitro finish, but there's no cracking, on the backside, on the neck joint. Everything's tight and beautiful as it should be. And finally, let's talk about playability and ergonomics. Well, for being such a big, wide headstock, I'm happy to say this guitar doesn't dive. When you just sit it on your leg, it just sits where it should. So it's very nice and balanced. The fretboard is flat, the fretwork is great. So, you can shred just as fast on this Gretsch as you could on an Ibanez. Most people don't do that, but you can. It's very, very ergonomic. Now, in terms of your right hand, you do have to play it like an acoustic. You have to kind of reach around and reach over. So, that's just part and parcel of this design, but it is something to note. That's the thickness of the body there, but it's lightweight, it's balanced, it plays really well. So, not much to complain about. Now, happily, the Jazzmaster balances in the same way in that there's no headstock dive like most Fenders. It's a great design, much more ergonomic with the belly cut here. And the Jazzmaster was specifically designed to be comfortable playing down for jazz players, right? It was designed to be played like this, which is kind of why you've got that whole, offset, very ergonomic design. It looks maybe a little bit weird if you're not used to it, but once you start playing on it, you're like, oh, I get it. The forearm scoop, the belly cut, the offset body shape makes it balance like supremely well. So you can just kind of like noodle around on it and play. So really great design in terms of ergonomics, much better than the Gretsch, obviously, because of, the thickness of the Fender body. So very easy and very nice to play. So let me know in the comments below, if you had to add one of these guitars to your collection, which one would it be? I'd love to hear from you guys, or maybe it's something totally different. Let me know. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the comparison. It was a lot of fun to put together. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Look, I want to make one thing clear. I've been playing on Jazzmasters long before it was hip or cool or whatever to play on a Jazzmaster. I've been playing big body Gretsch guitars for like 50 years. This Braun comes in and says, hey, check out these guitars. They're pretty cool. They're a little bit different. Next thing you know, a bunch of people are buying them, using them. I'm going to see other players playing on them. This dude's ruining it for me. I'm going to go get me a Duesenberg.